So next up is a conversation with the Trevor Project. They will discuss the challenges and current suicide statistics of LGBTQ youth and the work that the Trevor Project does to prevent these tragedies.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I was embarrassed and a little scared.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
I thought it would just make things worse.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
It ended up taking a huge weight off my shoulders.
I feel a lot better.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked for help.
I asked my teacher. I asked my aunt.
I asked the Trevor Project.
Now, I feel like I can get through this.
I know that I am brave. You can do this.
Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7. Ask for help.
Hello, and welcome to our special Giving Tuesday conversation with the Trevor Project and Carter Gibson. We are very excited to join today's Google Plus Hangout-a-thon to help raise awareness and donations for great causes. Please remember you can donate to every charity featured today on the right-hand side of this Hangout. Today, we will be talking about how the Trevor Project works to prevent suicide among LGBTQ youth. My name is Ryan Lytle, Social Projects Manager here at Mashable, and I'm happy to be moderating this conversation today. We're joined by Abbe Land, Executive Director and CEO of the Trevor Project. Hi, Abbe. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Great, great. And we also have Google Plus advocate Carter Gibson, who will be relaying questions from the Google Plus community. How are you, Carter?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Great. I'm very happy to have you both here, so thank you so much for joining us. Abbe, I do want to start with you. Can you talk about a little bit for those who don't have a complete knowledge of the Trevor Project, what it is and your mission?
Sure. Well, we are the leading national organization that works to prevent suicide as well as provide crisis intervention for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and questioning youth up to 24. And we do that through a number of ways. We have a lifeline where young people can call us. We have Trevor Chat where they can do instant messaging with a counselor. We have Trevor Text. And then we have some supportive services like Trevor Space, which is a digital community of young people, almost 75,000 young people who are there to support each other, as well as education programs and advocacy.
That's great. Now talk about some of the things that you've done in 2013, and then we'll talk about what your plans are for 2014.
Sure. 2013 was a busy year. We answered almost 37,000 calls. We put our Trevor Chat, which at the beginning of 2013 was just a couple of days a week, and by the end of 2013 we're up to 7 days a week being able to help young people, as well as we really expanded our advocacy work to ensure that we have good public policy. We were active in some of the laws, especially laws around reparative therapy and really fighting those laws. So it was a very, very busy year, as well as developing that public service announcement that you saw just prior to us coming into this Google Hangout.
Great. And now talk to us about some of the goals you have with the Trevor Project in 2014.
Well, 2014 will probably be a busier year. The thing we know is that suicide is the second leading cause of death of young people 10 to 24. And for gay, lesbian, bisexual youth, they're 3 to 4 times more at risk. And so we know that our services are needed as much as ever. So we will be training more volunteers so that we can continue to expand our chat. And we just are piloting Trevor Text. So we will be expanding that as well. We'll be training new volunteers, as well as we're going to develop a mobile app for our Trevor Space. Right now, the way you come onto Trevor Space is you actually have to be sitting in front of a computer. And so we want our young people to be able to access their friends and their support network 24/7. So we'll be developing a mobile app for Trevor Space so that young people really have the support they need.
So what kind of support does this take? Obviously, these are very ambitious goals, and you guys have met a lot of them in 2013. So what kind of support does it take to be able to carry out these goals?
That's a great question. It takes a lot of support. So we actually need a couple of things. First, we need people who want to volunteer and help us, because we have over 500 volunteers and there's a huge demand. As I said, we've unfortunately only begun to be able to reach out to as many people as need us. So more volunteers. And then, of course, we need financial resources. Our budget this year will be $6.2 million. So that's a lot of dollars that we have to raise. So things like Giving Tuesday and having people know more about the Trevor Project, hopefully they'll think about making donations to us, whether it's time or money or in-kind services.
Great. Well, thank you. Carter, I'm going to direct this question to you. What has kind of appealed about the Trevor Project to you?
The Trevor Project really gets its hands dirty, which is what I like a lot about it. They're right there interacting with the people that they need to help. They're connected to them directly. They make no effort to be separated from the people that they're assisting or the advice that they're giving, and I really appreciate that, especially from a nonprofit. I think that everyone that the Trevor Project touches feels very connected to that organization. I think that there are a lot of people out there who thank the Trevor Project for where they are now, no matter where they are. And I think that, especially talking about with how connected people are these days, the Trevor Project is really doing the right thing and making sure that they're down on the ground level and understanding their audience and how to communicate with them.
And Carter, following up, so the internet has really rallied around organizations like the Trevor Project. Can you give us a few examples of how you've seen people supporting this cause around the web?
Oh gosh, it's everything, I think that our voices have value, and I think that people realize that. They know that even if they can't donate $20 or even if they can't donate $10,000, that they can rally people behind the cause and raise awareness of it. The internet has given everyone a voice, and everyone has an audience. Depending on how large that audience is doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're talking to the people that care about these issues or exposing them to issues that they didn't know existed. I think that everyone now has realized that there's a right way to ask friends for help with these sort of things, that there's an annoying way to do it, that there's the right way to sort of go out and say, hey, people who I know care about this, how about you help me with this? People have targeted their audiences down into these different subcategories of people who care about certain topics, and I think that reaching out to those people is incredible, especially realizing that, we can all do just a little bit, even if it isn't by whipping out our wallets.
And Abbe, I want to ask you the same question. What have been some of the examples that you have seen online, just from the grassroots and just from individuals in general?
Sure, and it's a great question, and I really think the internet and social media has allowed everyone to participate. And Trevor, we really use social media because so many of our young people who reach out to us, that is the way they communicate. But we've had some wonderful things happen. People have recently got married, and instead of gifts, they ask people to make contributions to the Trevor Project. It's your birthday. You say, don't buy me something, please make a contribution. And we have a whole way of doing that through social media so that people can see who's giving if they want or not. We've done a number of things that really engage people. And you can do, as Carter said, you can make lots of contributions, even one contributions. For instance, $20, it helps us provide 5 texts back and forth between a youth that's in crisis. So every dollar really does count. $3 makes a difference because it just keeps adding up, and I think that's really important. I think social media and the internet in a way has equalized because everyone gets to participate, and whatever you can give helps, and it really does help. We try to save lives, and a dollar truly makes a difference.
That's great, and this is also a good time to remind everyone who is watching that you can donate within this Hangout on Air on the right side of this Hangout, and I would highly advise that you do that. Carter, I know I've been asking a lot of questions, and I know that you have been collecting some on Google+, so I'm going to pass it over to you and give you some time to ask some of those questions to Abbe.
Awesome, fantastic. Abbe, I think that the first question that I got, which I think is a pretty good question, is who is Trevor?
That's a great question. So it's a fictional character. In the late 90s, a film was released called Trevor, and it was a compilation of based on a one-man show that a writer, James Lacine, performed. And it's about a young boy who falls in love with his best friend, Pinky. And Pinky does not return his love and, in fact, does all the horrible things that we hear about and ostracizes Trevor. And Trevor attempts to take his life, but thank goodness he didn't. And it ends on a very wonderful note. So it's a fictional character, but when they aired the Trevor story on HBO in 1998, the writer, the producer, Randy Stone, and the director, Peggy Reisky, thought, what if someone watches this tonight and feels that loneliness and that horrible feeling that Trevor felt? What will they do? And they realized there was no phone number for someone who was gay or lesbian to reach out to. So they pooled their money together and they started the Trevor Project.
That's awesome.
And that very first night they had 1,500 young people reached out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that, the intersection of art and helping and internet and all of that just really comes together, and you guys are a great example of mixing a smorgasbord of different issues together to be one different thing. I think that a lot of people want to know, you're talking to people who are in a really tough spot, talking to people who literally don't know where else to turn and need you to help them. How do you guys stay sane? How do you guys stay positive? What's rewarding about it, and how do you keep yourselves positive enough to be able to help others?
That's a great question, and we have the most amazing volunteers and the most amazing staff because they are so committed to this work. We have an extensive training that people go through who are on our Lifeline or our chat or our text. It's over 40 hours of training, lots of support, and people are supported all the way through. But as difficult as the work might be sometimes, I think that that every time you answer a call or are chatting with someone, you're making a difference in their lives, and you're there to help them just help themselves and empower themselves and discover who they are. And the work is incredibly rewarding, and we have a good support network, and I think we all recognize the need to support each other in this work. And the movie Trevor was serious but lighthearted, and we try to do what we do. It's serious, but we also find the joy in the world as well.
I think it's always important to let people see the joy in the world too, even if they can't see it right away, and I think that's something that you guys do very well. Let me pass it back to you.
Okay, sure. Carter, I did want to ask you a question now that you had a chance to ask some. So, kind of looking from the outside, what would you recommend to those who are watching? How should they get involved in the Trevor Project or some of these other, great LGBTQ organizations?
Yeah, it's a little bit of alphabet soup, isn't it? A little bit. Trust me, it gets longer. I think that the first thing to do is, if you are hearing about this issue when it comes to teen suicide and being LGBT and being a little bit lost, is to do your research. I think that people like to get rallied around a cause, but actually researching the organizations that are helping with it, like the Trevor Project, they have such an incredible story. They have so many different programs. They have an incredibly high aptitude for going to where their youth is, and they're incredibly agile to be able to do that, especially for a nonprofit. I think that that's a really good way to get you passionate about an organization, is to learn their story as well. Giving money is amazing and it helps, but staying engaged is what actually makes change happen. It's a lot easier to stay engaged with a story than it is with a receipt. So I think that the number one thing is to just get as connected with it as you can, and also give, or just tell a friend, or even just bringing things up like the Trevor Project and everyday conversation goes a long way in raising awareness around this issue without it feeling like a PSA. These are real issues. These are real kids. They're real people helping, and making it feel real as opposed to feeling disconnected from it, I think, is the number one thing that people can do with any issue, and especially the Trevor Project.
Sure, great. Abby, I'm going to ask you that question in a second, but I did want to talk about this. So obviously the Winter Olympics are coming up in Russia, and we all know there are issues facing the LGBTQ youth there. What kind of work, if any, is the Trevor Project working on in Russia?
So most of our work is centered here in the United States, but through Trevor Space, that is an online community of young people 13 to 24, and anyone in that age range can join Trevor Space. And it's actually international. We have youth from 100 and almost 150 countries on Trevor Space. So it's a way for young people in Russia, if they want, to log on and just come into the most amazing supportive community. And that's probably the best that we can do, to offer young people a place to talk to other young people who are going through so many of the same things. But here we have some governments that are very supportive. Certainly in Russia they're not feeling that. So if they can get to Trevor Space, I think that that's something that we can do. And certainly here we are advocating with many other organizations about what we can be doing all together to support the LGBT community in Russia.
That's great. That's great. On an individual level, what have been some of the great stories that you could share with us about some of the successes that you've seen with the Trevor Project? If you have a few memorable stories that you could share with us.
You know, I don't have exact memorable stories in the sense that our work is very confidential, and so I don't share those stories. But what
Sure.
I can share with you is I am always just so humbled when I talk to people about the Trevor Project, because as Carter was talking about it, it just makes me feel so good to know that people hold us in that regard. And candidly, that I think inspires all of us here at the Trevor Project to continue to be the best that we can, to know that young people reach out, and to have had people come up to me and say, thank you. The Trevor Project was there when I needed it. It's like, oh my God, that's like the best. Or to have people say, I just wish I had known about Trevor when I was young, because I don't think there was anything like Trevor then. And knowing that they're going to talk to people about the Trevor Project. As Carter said, you know, giving is wonderful, and we certainly need you to give. But part of what we struggle with is making sure that people know about the Trevor Project, because we are actually a smaller nonprofit and we don't have billions of dollars to do marketing and get everywhere. And so, you know, the public service announcement you saw is going to be aired, but not everywhere. And so it really that word of mouth, being willing to talk about it, having people understand these feelings that people have, you're legitimately able to have those feelings, and you should be able to reach out and talk to someone. It makes the biggest difference in the world, and having people talk about the work we do, talk to each other, it really does help us expand our reach.
Great. Carter, I do want to ask you also maybe some examples that you've seen, if you've seen some of these things online, how people have really tried to support those who are looking for help. Do you have any examples that maybe you've seen online?
Yeah, well, I mean, so Google Plus Secret Santa is a great example of that. We're in our third year right now. Me and a few other people, we run it, and we just started it off the first year as like 5 friends, and it grew to be about 500. The second year it grew to be about 2,000, and this year we're like well on our way to upwards of 3,000 people giving and donating gifts. Last year we had around 5,000 gifts given, and what we do is we make sure that people say why it's important to be helped that year. And if people go to gplussanta.com and they read through all the different stories and just see what strangers need, and they give. So I think that, we all have big hearts. We all want to do good. And everyone can facilitate that in some way. Everyone can go out and do that small action. Everyone can say, hey, look, our friend wants to publish a children's novel that's a graphic novel. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could help his Kickstarter? Or, hey, guys, I really fell in hard times. I don't know how I'm going to pay rent. There are all these different small things that people do on a daily basis that they think of as support or just being a community, but really what it is giving. And I think all across the internet, Giving Tuesday is giving every day. People help each other every single day. I think that today is an awesome day to celebrate all the amazing things that people have done to help organizations, to help each other, and to realize that maybe they've been helping people more than they thought, and maybe they aren't so detached from this whole giving thing as they may have believed. So when it comes to specific examples, they're absolutely everywhere. They're in a like when someone says, "Hey, look at my project," putting that out in front of new people. It's for if there's a premature child that needs to pay their medical bills and people create an Indiegogo campaign. It's the Trevor Project. It happens every single day, and I think that if people really start looking for that in their newsfeed, if people really start looking for that in their Google Plus stream, that they can see that everyone's giving all the time and that they can be a part of that process.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that, Carter. Abbe, Trevor Project works with a number of celebrities on Trevor Live. Can you share anything about the upcoming Trevor Live event this weekend?
Sure. Trevor Live LA happens this Sunday, December 8th, and it is one of our biggest fundraisers. We'll have a number of people walking our red carpet. We're going to be honoring Jane Lynch. Many of you know her from Glee. She has an outstanding record of supporting the Trevor Project and really being there for LGBTQ youth. We're honoring a young man named Adam White for the amazing work that he's doing in Utah. And Toyota is our corporate sponsor. And people coming and performing will be folks like Adam Lampert will be coming to Trevor Live and will be performing. Morgan Hilty from Smash and now Saving Sean. We'll have a number of folks from the Glee cast, including Darren Crisp and Chris Colfer. So we really will have a very busy evening with lots of people who are really great supporters of Trevor. And we also have a live stream that people can watch prior to the event. And if you go to our website, thetrevorproject.org, you can get all the information. So you can at least watch the live stream and listen to the celebrities talk about why Trevor is important to them and why they come out and support us, because goodness knows they have many organizations to support, and it's really great to see them. And Adam Shankman is our director, and he's amazing. He's put together a great show, and Kathy Griffin is going to be our host, and so I know we're going to have a lot of laughs.
That's great. So Abbe, we have about 3 minutes left, and I want to get to the most important question here. How can people support the Trevor Project?
Thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah.
So there's a number of ways you can support the Trevor Project. First of all, I know if you're watching this, there's a little donate button, and you can definitely go there and do that. You can come to our website, thetrevorproject.org, and it's a great website. It's got lots of resources, but it also tells you how you can help. You can volunteer, and there's a site, a way to go, so you can talk and learn all about the different volunteer opportunities we have. As I said, we need to expand our services, and we only get to expand them if we have enough volunteers. You can donate. You can think about this holiday season. How do you want to make it special? And think about how you and your friends can do something to support Trevor. You can also join our advocacy network via that website, so that when we have legislation and things that we need everyone to kind of call their Congress people, you can help join that so that we get good laws passed that help make schools safer, that make sure people have access to mental health, and that really mandate that suicide prevention programs be in the schools, and that they talk about gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and questioning youth. And those are some of the ways that you can help us. And if you're in LA and you are free December 8th, you can also buy tickets to Trevor Live. We have just a few left, but we'd love to have you there.
That's great. So we are going to be wrapping up now. First off, Carter, I want to thank you for joining us and for providing your thoughts as well as some of those questions. And Abbe, thank you to you as well for joining us and sharing your insights and the Trevor Project in general.